found his phone in the glove box. Not the one he uses for work, but the other one. Slim, black, with a cracked corner. It was wedged behind a roll of quarters, like he'd tried to hide it but forgot I'd be rooting around. My hands shook as I held it. He'd never mentioned a second phone. The passcode was 0314, the day he proposed. No, wait, that's my birthday, the one I use. This one had a different code. I typed in my own birthday, it worked. The lock screen showed a text from an unknown number. "You're late. She's awake." My breath caught. I scrolled down. More messages. "Don't let her see the bills, I'll handle it. They're asking too many questions. You need to be careful." I opened the camera roll. Dozens of photos of our house, my car, my laptop screen. My stomach turned. Was he spying on me? Then I found the hotel receipt. The name on it wasn't his. It was mine. And the dates, October 3rd to 5th. That's when I'd been in the hospital having the surgery. He'd said he was with me the whole time, sleeping in the waiting room. I shoved the phone back into the glove box and slammed it shut. He came home at 2:13 a.m., reeking of jasmine and bourbon. I didn't ask where he'd been. I waited until he flopped onto the bed, then flipped on the light. "You've been lying to me," I said. He sat up, bleary. "What are you talking about?" I didn't answer. I just stared at the space between us, at the way his fingers twitched like they were hiding something. "You've been lying to me," I said. He sat up, bleary. "What are you talking about?" I didn't answer. I just stared at the space between us, at the way his fingers twitched like they were hiding something. He rolled his eyes, flopped back onto the pillow. "You're drunk, Claire. Go to sleep." "No." I leaned closer, my voice low, shaking. "The hotel, the texts, the photos, explain it." He froze. Seconds stretched. Then he groaned, buried his face in his hands. "Fine, but you're gonna hate me." "I already hate you," I snapped. He looked up, his eyes bloodshot. "It's my sister, Maria. She's been cheating on her husband for months. I found out last summer when she texted me a photo of their wedding ring. Said she couldn't do it anymore. He's a monster, Claire. He hits her. And now she's pregnant. With his kid." My stomach dropped. "So, you're having an affair with your sister?" "No, God, no." He grabbed my wrist, desperate. She begged me to help her escape, said she'd kill herself if she stayed. I told her I couldn't, I'm married. But she showed me photos of bruises, of her baby's ultrasound, said she'd die giving birth if she didn't get out of that house. I pulled away. "So what's the hotel? Why the lies?" He exhaled, his voice breaking. "She's hiding in my apartment. I told her to use my credit card for groceries, but my mom started asking questions. So I took her to the hotel, paid cash, told everyone I was Chuchai on a business trip, and when my mom called pretending I was out of town, I let her think it." A sick weight settled in my chest. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you'd hate me. Because I didn't want you to walk out. Because I love you." He reached for me again, but I stepped back. Then it hit me. The perfume, the late-night calls, the way he'd flinched when I mentioned her in the texts. He wasn't cheating. He was saving someone. But the real rot wasn't his, it was my mom's. Because the next morning, my mother called, her voice syrupy. "Darling, your father's been asking about your husband. Said he's concerned about the divorce rates in your family. You know how he is." I turned to my husband, my voice hollow. "She knows. She's been using us to distract herself from her own guilt." He blinked, then nodded slowly. "She's been feeding him stories about Maria." The screen glowed like a beacon, taunting me with the name safe. I'd never seen it on his phone before, never noticed the slight bulge in his pocket, the way he'd press his palm flat against it in crowded rooms. My fingers shook as I opened the app, the password field blinking expectantly. His password was my birthday. It shouldn't have felt like a violation. It did. The folder inside was crammed with screenshots. Me hunched over my laptop at midnight, sobbing into a wine-stained couch, whispering to my therapist about trust issues. One even captured me mid-sentence. "I don't know how to fix this." "Are you still up?" His voice cracked the silence. I slammed the app shut, heart thudding. He stood in the doorway, wearing the same flannel shirt he'd had on for 3 days. "What's going on?" "Nothing," I said too fast. He stepped closer, but I backed away, phone clutched to my chest. His eyes darted to the screen, then to me. "You don't trust me?" "It's just an app," I spat. He opened his mouth, closed it. The cursor blinked on his screen like a metronome counting down. By morning, I'd memorized the search bar. How to fake a business trip. His browser history was a minefield of lies. Hotel bookings under dummy names, rental car confirmations to cities we'd never visited. I replayed the voicemail his sister left, her voice frayed. "He said you're making him say things, that you're controlling him." Controlling him? I hadn't even called him this week. Then the 10K transfer appeared. The name Lena meant nothing to me, but her LinkedIn profile was a smudge of blanks, no photos, no recent activity. My husband's alibi for the weekend of the transfer? Out of town. The shirt he wore that week still smelled faintly of her perfume, a citrusy something I couldn't place. I waited until he left for his meeting to call the bank. The agent's tone shifted. This transaction was flagged for suspicious activity. They wouldn't say more, but the words money laundering hovered like smoke. I sat on the porch, phone gripped in my sweat-slick palms, and wondered if I'd already lost him. Or if he'd already lost himself. I stormed into the house, phone trembling. "Who is Lena?" My voice cracked. He froze mid-sentence, his coffee cup hovering. "A friend," he said, too fast. "She's helping me with taxes." "Helping you with taxes?" I jabbed at his phone. His face paled as I scrolled past Lena's half-smile in a LinkedIn photo. No name, no job title. Then froze. There it was, in her bio. Investigations and risk mitigation. He lunged for my phone, but I was already sprinting to his office. The file labeled Lena on his desktop held a contract. Protection services for Miss Harper. Ongoing. My name. My breath vanished. His sister called again. "He's gone off the rails since the divorce," she whispered. "Your ex? She's got him convinced you're toxic." "My ex? The woman who'd ghosted me for a year after our fight? The same woman who texted him, 'Don't let her take you down.' Weeks ago, I dialed Lena. 'You're not a friend,' I hissed. 'You're a PI. Silence. Then, 'Your husband hired me to protect you. He said your ex was harassing you.' The pieces slotted into place. The app wasn't for me. It was his journal, tracking my safety. The perfume? A red herring. Last week, he'd accidentally spilled wine on Lena's shirt during our last dinner. He'd been trying to save me. All this time. I found the photo tucked inside his old phone case. Our old phone case. A grainy snapshot of him holding a little girl with her hair in pigtails, both grinning at a county fair. No me, no wedding band. Just him, her, and a happiness that felt stolen. My stomach dropped when I realized the timestamp, 3 months after we'd split. He denied it at first, pacing the apartment like a caged animal. "It's foster care, Cam, a summer thing." His voice was too clipped, his eyes darting to the door. I wanted to scream. We'd been trying to conceive for 2 years. He'd even joked about adopting a tiny monster if it made me cry less. But now, he was already halfway through a lie. He let me see the kid once. Her name was Lily, and she clung to his belt loop like he was her lifeline. He'd texted me a blurry photo afterward, her blowing dandelion seeds across a field. The caption read, "She has your laugh." I deleted it. By November, he'd started skipping our weekly dinners. "Work's insane," he'd say. But I caught him Googling how to tell my partner I have a kid at 2 a.m. on my laptop. When I confronted him, he snapped, "Why does everything have to be about you? Maybe you're the reason we're not having kids." The next blow came 2 weeks later. I was sorting through his desk for a reason I couldn't name when I found a sealed envelope labeled Cam and Sam in my handwriting. Inside, a birth certificate for a baby named Lucy, born 6 months to the day after our wedding. My name was there, but the father's field was blank. My hands shook so badly I dropped the paper. Sam lunged for it, but I snatched it back. "What is this?" I hissed. He froze, then muttered, "It's nothing, a mistake." That's when I noticed the photo on his desk, or wedding photo, but with a child in my arms. A newborn. I don't remember taking it. I stared at the photo, my breath fogging the glass. Sam backed away, his eyes darting to the trash bin. "It's not what you think," he stammered. "It's just a memory." But the words slipped out wrong, like he'd rehearsed them in a mirror. The next morning, I dug through his drawers. Beneath a stack of old letters, I found a hospital wristband, Camille Thompson, 28/2019, and a sealed MRI report, my name, my birthday. Under diagnosis, postpartum psychosis. The details blurred into a panic, but one line cut through the noise. Patient gave birth via emergency C-section on March 12, 2020. That date, our anniversary. The one Sam always gifted me a rose for, even after the lies. I drove to the hospital, my hands white on the wheel. The nurse handed me a file. Birth photos. I wasn't in them. A nameless woman, pale and hollow-eyed, held a swaddled bundle as a man in scrubs hovered over her. Not Sam, not me. Back home, I hurled the file at Sam. "Why didn't you tell me I gave birth? Why did I forget it?" His face crumpled. "You didn't forget. You walked out. 3 days after Lucy was born, you said you couldn't do this. That you didn't even know who the father was." The room tilted. "But it's your photo, our wedding, with her." "Photoshopped," he whispered. "I did it so you'd remember, so you'd fight for her." I sank onto the couch. The truth was worse than the lie. I'd once been a mother, then fled. And Sam had spent 3 years pretending to love me, not to break me, not to save me. The truth was worse than the lie. I'd once been a mother, then fled. And Sam had spent 3 years pretending to love me, not to break me, not to save me. My phone buzzed. A text from Lucy's foster mom. She keeps asking for Mama Alex. I stared at the photo Sam had shown me, a perfect wedding portrait of us, our hands clasped. The dress was mine, the venue his parents' backyard, the ring on my finger. A fake. Sam knelt beside me, trembling. "You were in a psych ward for 6 months after Lucy was born. You didn't sleep, didn't eat. The doctor said if I stayed, you'd die. So I left, took Lucy." I show up at the apartment where the texts were sent from. Her sister's roommate, Lila, answers, pale, shaking. "She's not here, haven't seen her in days." But her eyes dart to a sticky note on the fridge. "Thanks for the loan, Jay." In my girlfriend's handwriting. I wake up to a text at 3 a.m. "You were right, I didn't trust you enough to tell you about James, but I never lied." She's at the hospital. I follow the thread to his room. This time, he's asleep. IV line snaking into his arm. Lila is there, holding his hand. Her eyes meet mine, pleading. He's clean now, she says. I couldn't risk you finding out another way. I feel like an idiot, a monster. She pulls me aside. You saw him at the laundromat. He's working now. You don't have to believe me, but I've been dying inside trying to keep this up alone. I sit across from her, the diner booth sticky with grease and her tears. She doesn't pull away when I take her hand, but she doesn't meet my eyes either. He's not the one you think, she says finally. James is my brother. He's been in and out of rehab since Mom died. I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to see me as the broken sister. Her laugh is sharp. Guess I failed anyway. I freeze. The photos, the late-night calls, the voicemail about James. It all clicks. She wasn't hiding an affair. She was hiding grief. She'd been smuggling him meals, sneaking him into her apartment when he'd overdose, trying to save him while I accused her of betrayal. Why didn't you just tell me? My voice cracks. Because you'd left me alone with it, she whispers. Every time I asked for help, you said, this isn't your fight. I want to apologize, but she's already walking out, my hand falling to the table. The waitress asks if I'm okay. I nod, but my phone buzzes with a text from Lila. He's clean now. Come by tomorrow. We'll talk. I drive home, replaying her words. I never once asked her what she needed, only what I wanted from her. The next morning, she's there, cooking pancakes in her apartment. The walls still bare from when I left. She turns, and for the first time, she doesn't flinch when I pull her close. I'm not perfect, she says, but I'm not that woman you imagined. I kiss her hair. You're right, you're not. And maybe we both are. The next week, I bring groceries to Lila's apartment, humming as I unpack. She's been sleeping until noon again, her eyes less shadowed. You're doing too much, she says, brushing my hand from her coffee cup. I laugh it off, but her grip on the mug is tight. A flicker of the old Lila. By week 3, I'm footing James's rehab bills, my savings account shrinking. Lila insists it's just until he's stable, but her smile doesn't reach her eyes. When I ask to meet James, she dodges. He's not ready, she says too quickly. Then I find the text on her burner phone. Can you cover the clinic again? The doc said if I miss another payment, my stomach drops. The rehab she's been funding is a $3,000 a week private facility, 3 times what he's ever paid in insurance. Confrontation comes over dinner. He's not in recovery, I say, shoving the bill across the table. Lila's fork clatters. He is, she hisses. He just slipped. Liar. My voice cracks. You're paying for his addiction. She slams her hand down. And what would you have done, you? Left him to rot in some state clinic while I begged you for help? Her eyes are red, but her tone is cold. You think guilt's a currency? Take your money and get out. I leave, but not before spotting the pill bottle in her trash, his name on it. The next morning, I cancel the payments. Lila doesn't answer my calls. When she finally does, she's quiet. You're right, she whispers. I'm not the woman you imagined. I'm the one you made me. The line goes dead. I stare at the phone, realizing the truth. We've both been playing roles we can't afford to quit. I found her phone that morning while cleaning her office. Sleek, black, tucked under a stack of old tax documents. The drawer was locked, but the key hung on a charm bracelet she wore every day. My fingers trembled as I typed her name, then our anniversary. It unlocked. The screen showed a text thread with Evan. The last message was from yesterday. I still love you. What if we tried again? My stomach dropped. She'd known I'd find this, the way she'd avoided my questions about her cousin's baby shower last weekend. Evan's child, maybe? She barged into my study, face flushed. How dare you? Her voice cracked. I held up the phone. She lunged, swiping it from my grip, and backed into the wall. That was before I met you, she hissed, tears streaking down her cheeks. I don't know why I kept it. I thought I'd deleted them. I stared at her, my pulse a frantic drumbeat. She turned away, but not before I saw the photo on her nightstand. A baby in her arms, both smiling, dated June 2018. The baby's eyes were mine. I stared at the photo for so long I didn't notice she'd left the room. When I finally moved, my hands were shaking. The baby's face was a mirror of mine. Same dimple in the left cheek, same stubborn jawline. My child. But no record of it existed in our marriage. No birthday, no nursery, no name. That night, I drove to the hospital where she'd worked as a nurse. The clerk's face tightened when I asked for her patient files from 2018. You're not family, she said. I flashed my insurance card, forged her mother's name in the visitor's log, and took the elevator to the archives. There, buried under a stack of yellowing charts, was a single folder labeled Confidential. Inside, a birth certificate for Ethan James Parker, his father listed as Evan L., my name. The date, June 12, 2018. A second page detailed a DNR, do not resuscitate order, signed by Evan Lee Comais and Lile P., my wife's maiden name. The next morning, I confronted her in the kitchen. She'd made coffee, her hands steady despite the tremor in her eyes. You knew, I said, slamming the folder on the counter. You knew I was Ethan's father. She didn't deny it. He died of SIDS the night you left, she whispered. You'd been deployed for 6 months. I didn't know how to tell you. A cold weight settled in my chest. Why didn't you call me? Your CO said you were in a coma, she said. By the time you woke up, they'd already buried him. The texts to Evan weren't flirtation, they were grief. Every I still love you was a plea for help surviving the guilt. And the photo on her nightstand? I'd seen it 100 times. Our wedding day. She'd placed it there to remind herself he was my child too. I reached for her, but she turned away. The test wasn't for an affair, she said. It was for us. I'm trying to build a family again, but only if you're ready to stay this time. The phone buzzed. Another text from Evan. Let me help. I looked at her, at the ghost of a son we'd lost, and realized the real betrayal wasn't her secrets. It was my own blindness to the truth she'd been trying to show me all along. I opened the folder she'd dropped. The test was positive, dated 2 days ago. But beneath it, a sticky note. Tell Jake I'm sorry. Jake. Evan's last name. My hands shook as I scrolled through her phone. Photos of Ethan's funeral, tagged with Evan's number. Then a text from Evan. The baby's heartbeat is strong. You'll be a great dad. The room spun. She'd been planning this, with Evan all along. The pregnancy test wasn't for us. It was a decoy, a way to manipulate my guilt into staying while she built a life with the real father of her child. You lied, I said, voice cracking. Ethan wasn't mine. Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't deny it. He was ours in every way that mattered, she whispered.